Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. All right, you guys, this series would not be complete without this guest, okay? She and I have done IG Lives together since our first episode, and I love connecting with this girl because she is so real and honest, and we've become great friends. And if you haven't heard her first episode yet, I'll link it in the show notes as I have done for the other ones. But we got into some of the darkest sides of the industry on that last show, as well as her own personal breakthroughs and her work as a posing, lifestyle, and competition prep coach. So we're going to be getting into her experiences of her rookie year. So this is an episode you will not want to miss either. So definitely check out the old one after you listen to this one and follow up with us. Let us know what you think. We're going to be talking about a lot of her experiences that I think will be very insightful. And by the way, this girl is sick, a little bit sick right now. She's recovering. She may or may not have had COVID. So welcome to the show, Laure Adams. How are you?
Oh, I am great. Been struggling a little bit recently, but aside from that, everything's great. Life is good. Just putting my body in recovery mode right now, coming off of my first rookie pro season, as you said. And you know what, Celeste, I still get all kinds of messages when people hear that first episode because they really do. They're just like, wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, you guys should check it out for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Me too. I get a lot of girls who are like, oh my God, that episode opened my eyes, or that episode is exactly what I'm going through. And I'm always like, yeah, like unfortunately, but also fortunately, because we can learn from those things. And I'm just, like I said, I'm happy you're here. It really wouldn't feel right without you being on. And so I'm glad we made it happen. And
Thanks. Me
yes,
too.
yes, of course. And when
Yes.
you did your last show, we talked about like you just kind of prepping to even get the pro card and then being so close to your goal that you could taste it. And now you've actually shared the stage with Olympians and other new pros, and you've just done tons of shows this season to really immerse yourself into the pro circuit. So what has it been like for you? How has it unfolded? Yeah, even with the COVID prep, all that.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. Well, to be honest with you, I was just like you said, I'm just gonna, see my goal and see it through. That's kind of why, even when COVID happened, I was a few weeks out from the Clash, which I did end up doing the World Clash in August. But I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna hold out for this show. I'm gonna do the show in March. Well, then COVID happened. I was like, okay, my goal is so in front of me. I have waited this long to get on the IFBB stage and like do a good job as a rookie pro. Like I will wait and I will wait. And we were even talking about that because you had the same thing happen with your shows, and most of us did. And I know, but I was like, I think it's almost like a great quality of mine, but also not that I'm so stubborn too, that I was like, I'm just going to stick to it and I will freaking wait. If I have to get on the stage in December, I'm going to do it. So that was my mindset around it. For me, gosh, my voice sounds crazy. For me, as Celeste said, I did have potentially COVID, which I'm pretty sure I did, and I'm still having some sinus and other issues, so I apologize for the raspy voice. But for me, like I've been around the NPC for a while, so I had a good amount of connections as far as like with judges that I'm friends with, that I've worked with on certain seminars and different things like that, and just people that I've made friends with over the years, and also several girls that I already had some friendships with. So it felt really natural for me going into my first season. It felt, like just like what was supposed to happen. And I was super, super grateful and happy to do that. It definitely was so eye-opening. And that is what a lot of people that come out of, there's a few that I'm sure we all know who are the ones that can come out their first show in the IFBB and get first call outs, get third place, get Olympia qualified first year, boom. That's never really been the type of path that I've had. I've definitely had to go through, losing, winning, losing again a few more times. And, I don't want my path to be a super fast upward trajectory. I feel like that takes completely away from the whole experience and the reward when you
Mm.
do succeed. Like, you need to lose to be a good athlete, in my opinion. For me, anyways, I just appreciate that, and I love the feedback, love to make myself get better, and just, hear those words. Like, I thrive on criticism, in a way. So I was super happy, like so freaking happy. I got probably, like, I was about to say top 10 at all the shows, but I think the last one I got 11th, but still, like, second call out center, like every show that I did. So I was so pleased to see that. I think that had to do with
Yeah.
just, the judges knowing me for a while, seeing me at nationals for a long time, and then just, just that's right where I expected to be, honestly.
Mhm.
Of course, being on stage with some of these girls who are like super great pros that are rookie Olympian, I mean, not rookie, repeat Olympians, on stage, and I get to be on stage with them. Like, shit, like, that's so great. Excuse my French, but like,
Yeah.
seriously, it was very, very, I was super honored and happy with all the placings. Like I said, it's exactly about what I expected. My physique is something where we were just talking about this before the show started, something that I've been trying to sort of figure out for a long time. So I knew the first couple shows weren't going to be exactly, it was just kind of like trial and error. So
Uh-huh.
I loved it. I felt, like I said, I felt really at home. I met a lot of new judges that now I'm friendly with and stuff like that. So I think it's going to set me up for a really good next year. Hopefully I can get fully well soon, get back to training. I was just telling Celeste, I've only trained like a handful of times since August because I've been sick and kind of run down. So next year, hopefully it'll be like mid next year, maybe, hopefully sooner, but if not, then, next year, I think it'll set me up for that. So I loved it. It was great. You were a great first year, made all kinds of good friends and great memories. And yeah, I sound cheesy, but whatever. I was excited. It was awesome.
I love it. I love the excitement. And watching you compete this year was really cool. And you obviously had feedback from each show, I'm sure, that you're now thinking about. And you were mentioning before, it's something that you're not exactly sure where you're going to be taking your physique or what your thoughts are. Do you mind expanding on that? Like, what the feedback was that you were getting and maybe how it's changed from when you were an amateur?
Yes. And let's go make sure we put a pin in it to go back to NPC nationals versus pro kind of criteria. Cause I
Yes,
know we talked about that because I have some
we
things to share about
will.
that. Yes. So when I came off of my season last year, when I turned pro, I spent the whole off season trying to, in my mind, I don't know why, but I guess in my mind, I've always kind of seen, the pros as having a little bit more size, wanting, a really super impressive physique. And I mean, there are super impressive, but for some reason, I just felt the really big need to, I just wanted to train my ass off and grow my
Mhm.
glutes and grow my back. I really wanted my shape to be like really noticeable when I come on stage. I wanted my like upper half to be pow and my waist to be smaller and my lower body to my glutes to grow, which I did achieve that, which was super awesome.
Yes.
Thanks. But it also kind of worked against me in a little bit of ways. There was as an amateur, I always had the shape, but I could never really quite nail in my mind. I mean, my condition was good, but it wasn't like what other girls like. I just always have a very hard time getting crazy lean until this year. I think it's because for me, it did work to an advantage. So like start in December, I put on like probably
Mhm.
like 40 pounds after my last year. Part of that was coming off of some of the thyroid medicine I was on, but I was ready to eat and train and grow at whatever cost. We talked about that last season. I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to make size, gains. I don't care. I'm ready to do it. If I get fat, oh well, it'll come off. That's just
Yeah.
my mindset. So as I started to get lean, and like I said, I really do think the extended dieting period helped me because it made my legs like slowly come down, like, and more and more and more. Like, I was forced myself to like stay on the cardio, stay on the diet to wait for the show to happen. So that really worked to my advantage. All that being said, my first show, as I started to get leaner, I was like a little too big for a bikini. I got that feedback. I was a little too lean. Like I was telling Celeste, when I was backstage at my first show as a pro this season, I was kind of like, wow, I am really ripped and not everyone looks like this. Like as a pro bikini person, they really are looking at more of the shape, the presentation, the posing, which I thought was my posing was great. And it is not compared to so many girls who have been, on the Olympia stage for years and have been pros for several seasons. It is a much bigger, it's like a game. It's like a huge level up. So that was something
Mm.
that I had to kind of, realize, work on, accept, and be humble about, and say, all right, my posing isn't even that great. I thought it was, but now I can say it's a lot better. But it took me kind of seeing that unfold, knowing that kind of like, you know, the thing that I was always sort of working toward as an amateur isn't exactly what they're always looking for as a pro. And for me, the first feedback that I got was basically like, yeah, you don't look like bikini, that your physique is great, but, and you know, one of the head judges even told me it was my favorite physique, but it's not that does not meet the criteria. It's too lean, too hard. You know, I can see the striations in the glutes. I can, you know, your shoulders are too big. It's overpowering. And I even got some critiques on, you know, my front pose and stuff like that, which I did see once it was pointed out to me.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of went to the drawing board, tried to, I kind of basically came off almost all the cardio I was doing, just doing like little 20-minute walks every day. And my look was a little harsh. I had really, you know, lean shoulders, really large shoulders. Legs were really lean, which made them look more muscular. There's a couple of judges told me, they're like, everything just looks too much. So we decreased the cardio, increased the food. Fat came up a little bit, but which in turn allowed my glutes to fill out. And I stopped training my upper body. And we also went to several judges that I've developed a relationship with, which is something I think is so important. And anyone who's listening to this, if you take the sport seriously, really do like your homework and make those connections. It's not like ass kissing or whatever you want to call it. It is literally being a student of the sport and just kind of like going back to them, getting your assignment and applying it and then succeeding. So that's kind of how I've always done it. I've made sure to get all the emails, get all the phone numbers, become on a first name basis with them so they can tell me what they're looking for. So my first show, I was at the NorCal. I had straight black hair, which I've always done. I had the hair behind my shoulders, which were humongous apparently, which I loved, but yes, I did see that it was a little bit unbalanced. So we curled the hair for the next show. Body fat came up a little bit. Body started looking a little bit more hourglass, a little bit more like a pro bikini person. Like bikini is supposed to be sexy and supposed to be a little sensual. So to me, it was really hard to like wrap my mind around doing less going into the Tampa Pro. I was like, how can I do less going into the Tampa Pro and like changing my routine to something I've never done, changing my front pose. Because I got 9th at my first show, which was great. But to me, you know, of course I want better. Like there was about like, I think 18 or 19 girls. So I was super happy, but of course I just want to improve. So, you know, we did all the things needed. I did have a little bit of a coach change at the time. So he just had a little bit more insight on, you know, what the bikini criteria is, what exactly they're looking for. And we did apply that full, you know, super isolated glute workouts. Like I said, more food, less cardio, and soft hair. We did curls. I did green instead of this dark blue that I did. Just changed the whole routine up a little bit. So going into the next show, I was highly rewarded for that. I mean, to me, obviously not a lot of people are like, wow, 9th place twice in a row is so amazing. But to me, I was like 9th place at a much bigger show that's super competitive. To me, that feels like, like, I felt like first place to me. I was up on stage with the top, 10 people at the Tampa Pro, which is a show I've looked up to for 6 or 7 years now. So to me, it was thrilling. So that's just the same type of look I brought to the other shows too. And now we're in a rest period. Sorry, that was kind of long-winded, but
no, it's great.
Excuse me. Yeah. I can keep talking, or if you want to ask the next question just about how it like applying that actually was.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because you mentioned a few things. So like, first of all, you've had a really successful season, not just in placings. Of course, you would like to have done even better, but then you did improve from one show to the next and to the next, and you learned more about the look that they're going for. You were able to change your front pose, you changed your hair, you brought a more like curvy look versus like, and one that's softer versus one that's harder. So how did you feel though receiving feedback of you're too big, you're too lean, you're not looking like bikini? Like, how did that feel after taking so much time to really develop off of past feedback?
Honestly, that's a perfect way to put it. That's why you're such a good podcast host. But I'm just gonna like ramble and like not an organized way at all. But you're like, so good at controlling the conversation. But no, honestly, I was a little shocked at first because like at nationals and everything, there was a time few years ago now that I was told to bring my upper body up. So I was like that whole time in my head, every single week I'm doing, as crazy amount of shoulders and back and all this stuff as I can, as heavy as possible. I tell people who know, have known me for a little bit, know, like, I basically, I train heavy like a bodybuilder dude does. I was trying to, my goal was like, I'm going to push the 50s overhead. Like, I'm, that's how I train. It's kind of just like, I'm the product of my surroundings, I guess. So I even used to say it, like, last year, forever, I've always said, I'm never going to not train. I'm never going to not train how I want to. The gym is my happy place. I love shoulders. That's my favorite day. I don't really care. I'm going to train until they tell me I don't fit the criteria. And if I do, then I'm just going to move up. I'm never going to not train. No, that's not true, because I literally ate my own words this year after that first show. And they were like, your legs are super muscular. Your shoulders are they're overpowering. And the calves are something I don't train, but I got so much feedback about my freaking calves. And I've never gotten feedback about that. No one has ever told me my shoulders are too big or my legs are too, like, that's just not, it was just not feedback I've been used to hearing. So I was kind of shocked. I was like, what? Okay, well, okay, like, that's fine. I can accept it and take it in. So one thing I do notice is that when you are a pro and they do care about the IFBB judges really do care about their pros so much. Like, you can tell the feedback that they give you is very, very, very specific to your body, and like, not as like, I don't know, like, vague, I guess, or like, as kind of like, bring the conditioning in, bring the glutes out. It's like, no, they go into like every single thing, and it's really, really detailed, which is super awesome for us as athletes, because I know I would never have gotten the type of feedback as an amateur that I've gotten this year. I mean, they really take the time, and they do care about all the athletes, of course, but it's like, it's splitting hairs at that point. I mean, all the pros are perfect, but at that point they have to be very, very specific about what they're looking for you to qualify for the freaking Olympia. So that's how I had to take it. It's like, all right, I understand. It was really difficult for me not to train my upper body much, except for I did some little isolated lat high rep stuff. Besides that, I'm used to doing, all, like, everything, like just all the heavy back, all the heavy shoulders. So I haven't done anything like that since, really, that show was July 11th. So since then, yeah, I mean, I've done shoulders a couple times since being sick this past week, but aside from that, you can tell. I mean, it was really hard for me. It's hard not to do leg extensions, hard not to do the hamstring curls, hard not to do my favorite exercise, which is dumbbell RDLs. Real heavy, like crazy heavy. Like last year, I was really, like, in a competition with a friend of mine. I had 130-pound dumbbell in each hand and did, like, we were like going 120s. You got the 120s. All right, I got the 130s. Like, I was like trying to be a beast. Yeah. And it made me almost feel kind of somewhat reprimanded for all the hard work. And, I don't know. Exactly. It was a weird feeling. And I basically started doing the things that I agreed to never do once before. So it was hard to swallow, but also I did tell myself I competed to be an IFBB Bikini Pro. As a pro, you have to chase, that's what I've dedicated to this year. In the future, we don't know, but for right now, like, this is my craft. I'm going to perfect it. This is what they're telling me to do. And I will do that based on, even though it's the opposite of what I said I would do. I wanted to respect the sport and the judges and show that I could be a good athlete, to, like, listen to them, bring it back. And it really is so strategic and a sport of listening and understanding. So I understood there was a purpose and time for that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Absolutely. And I think that it's a good reminder to people listening as well. Like, you may feel one way right now, but that could change in the future based on the feedback you get and the experiences you have. And you were having such a positive pro season, and just, that feedback, even though, there was a bit of are you kidding me? I worked so hard. There was also well, I can work harder. I can do more. I can bring it. Like, I can meet the criteria. I respect the sport. I want to be my best. I want to meet it. But you also said that you switched coaches and you got, like, a different approach as well. So what was the inspiration behind that? How did that unfold? And what was, like, some of the major changes you made that you feel made a big difference?
Yes. That's a great question. To just add to what you're just saying, I just wanted to say, like, in my mind, for people who, I also want to be seen as, like, and this is for all of us, like, if you want to be seen as a good sport, as someone that the judges respect, that you're continually wanting longevity in the sport, I want to compete for a long time. Will it always be bikini? I don't know, but I want them to know that they can trust me and respect me, so that once I do ever switch divisions, they'll respect me in that too and know I'll be a good student, you know? So it's just all about the long game. So that's just kind of, you got to think about, you know, burning your bridges or being seen a certain way. No, we don't care about what everyone thinks, but if you're going to be, but yes, you do. I'm sorry, you're being judged and you really want to be respected and seen as someone that's a serious athlete. That's kind of why I went ahead and just, you know, did what I said I would always do. Just wanted to add that in. So going to the coach thing, no, I mean, honestly, really, it's the coach that I was starting to work with in the off season, aside from my boyfriend, who really does kind of tell me how to train and does a lot of my protocols and stuff like that. He was a friend of my boyfriend's. He is a local guy. He coaches a lot of, you know, bodybuilders, physique, women and figure girls. And he's got a couple of bikini folks, but aside from that, you know, that was sort of the approach that we were using. And we just had a mutual conversation when I kind of gave him the feedback from my first show, too lean, you know, et cetera, too muscular. He just kind of didn't really know what to do with it. And we had a mutual conversation. It was a great ending. We're just like, yeah, I mean, I think we just kind of, he's like, I don't really know what to do with that. And that's fine. I respected him for saying, I don't really know where to go from here.
Yeah.
He's not really like a pro bikini coach of any kind. He's a power lifter, trainer, that kind of stuff. Strong man. So still respect him a lot. So my coach that I ended up working with is Adam Atkinson. See you later, leaner. I'm sure plenty of people know him. He's a great dude. Freaking love him. You know, we've become good friends and everything like that. He just has a really great eye for knowing what the judges are looking for. And he's a great student of the sport and the coaching world as well. And really well respected, really scientific. My friend Brittany Hamilton is someone who we always just say, like, she's one of my best friends. We always say like we're like twins because we both have that problem. We're literally are twins. Like we both are a little too muscular, have dark hair. We've had the same feedback a lot of the times over and over. So we are still really, really close. I was texting her earlier about the Olympia maybe going together. So just for fun. So anyway, she was like, girl, you just need to, you know, get with my coach. And that's kind of what happened. He just has the approach that's a little bit more scientific. For example, like he's like, we need to get more food in you. But I want you to start testing your blood, you know, your blood glucose level in the morning and at night to see if it's a little too much for you or if your body is absorbing it too quickly. Really, really smart way to approach it. So that's how we kind of like measure to see how much food basically my body could take to try to fill out my glutes a little bit and soften up everything. He gave me a plan and we just kind of talked about just super isolated glute programming. I was doing a lot, and I say a lot, I'm not even going to tell you guys how much cardio I was doing before. With my other coach, it wasn't cardio in my traditional sense. So I kind of didn't really think of it as that bad, but really it was a lot.
What do you mean not in the traditional sense?
Like step counting. So really
okay.
So every day it's like, all right, let's get X amount of steps. Okay. Is a lot of steps. Let me just tell you that, kind of looking back now, I don't even really know how I did that or made time to do it at all. But that's not unusual for me. I have had coaches tell me in the past, do 2 hours on the stairs every day, and I would do it without even like blinking an eye. I now know after doing this for so long, there are other ways other than just like ripping the carbs from everybody and blasting the cardio. Like, dude, I've done that so many times though. And then I catch myself like three weeks in, I'm like, wait, what's happening again? This is happening again. Like, how did I allow this? And then honestly, my condition was insane before that, but it really didn't need to be. You know what I mean? It didn't need to be like that. I had glute lines pretty much all season. It was really hard to kind of keep them full. It was really difficult. So we had to do really strategic timing with the carbs, and the training was very particular, like around the carbs and stuff. So that's kind of Adam sort of helped me, you know, be more bikini. And I talked with Sandy a lot just about, okay, what about this hair? What about this suit color? What do you think about it? What do you think about it? Like, you know, she's probably annoyed, but honestly, I don't think so. She's known me to be like that forever. So I just want to do, you know, what they want me to. So that was kind of the difference in approach, a little less activity, a little bit more food, just a little bit more bikini and not as many compound movements, which is what I love doing the deadlifts. Like last season, my boyfriend and he's like, I got it to do a 275 straight from the floor. Like I thought that was amazing. I know there's no way in hell I could do that now. Probably like 50 pounds. Like, I don't know. But yeah, my strength is nothing now, but just a change in all that I mentioned, and just, and talking to Brett a lot. We just kind of went back and forth about our looks, and she helped me a lot, just kind of deciding things, and same with her. So she had a great little season too as a brother.
That's so awesome.
But yeah.
So
that's it.
Do you feel like, because when you talked about that, there was a different approach, you started taking even a more scientific approach, you change up your cardio, which by the way, I can't stand, I'm just going to throw this out there. Like, I can't stand when coaches or girls are like, oh, I don't have to do this much cardio, but then their coach gives them like a 30,000 step goal. I'm like, that's technically cardio. Like, let's just be
Oh,
clear.
let me just go back to say, the person that I respect a lot, also is kind of like that. So it's just like, I respect him a lot, but no cardio just because you're not attached to a Stairmaster hanging on for dear life.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was upward. It was like, in that, not 30,000, but somewhere in that range of what we were, what I'm talking about. So it was just a
Yes.
lot. I mean, and
Yes.
if you actually look, guys, listen to this. If coach says, oh, you're only going to do, let's just say 20,000 steps. Oh my God, it's like nothing. Okay. 2,000 steps equals 1 mile. That's average human. So 2,000 times 10, that's 20,000. That is like 10 miles of walking.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, and then walking on foot, not on a treadmill. I mean, it's just really time consuming. But it's still, I really did like that approach, honestly, but it kind of made me a little obsessed with looking at my tracker, and
Yes.
made me kind of bring some of those feelings, which I don't like, which is like being obsessive and like looking at my tracker, looking at my scale, looking at
Mm-hmm.
my scale, looking at my picture, da da da. It's like, oh my God, no, like it just was a little too much.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. And you know that there's so many different approaches and you've been able to like find your path of least resistance. And I think that's the main thing is like for some people that actually makes a lot of sense given their lifestyle or just the way that they need to be for that phase of their
like
life.
nurses, for example, or
Yes.
people who work on their feet, like that's great. I have one client that I work with. She works, she's like not in a warehouse, but she's kind of like the coordinator of the like shipping.
Yeah.
She's on her feet like without trying. She does 18,000 steps a day.
Right.
So we really did use that for her prep, and she got her OCB Pro card
That's
recently.
awesome.
But I know she's masters too. So we've done like 8 shows together or something now. So I mean, but it really worked well for her. So it really did give me the ability to try it with some of my people that like I don't really prep that many people, but the ones that I do, I'm really close with. So like they don't mind if I just want to try something on them. Like let's try it, see how you like it. It might help you. And she ended up looking great. So it works for her. But for me, I work from home. I work at a desk, or on my
Uh-huh.
couch. So it was just a little difficult, but it was less hard on my body as far as like opposed to the stairs, like my feet, my knees, all that kind of stuff. So there are pros and cons.
Yes, always, always. And those are all things to consider and know as an athlete that you do have a say in your approach. Now, I want to also discuss something else you brought up, and this was the fact that you started finding yourself getting obsessive. And last time we talked, you were taking more of an intuitive eating approach, letting go of the food scale. What has your approach to food and nutrition been like from that perspective? Like, have you taken some of those intuitive eating principles and applied to your preps, or have you changed this up?
Yes. So I will say, yeah, last year I really did just kind of eyeball a lot of things. I was talking about that at great length, and I still do believe a lot of that. I did notice, and I was still doing that in off season because I know about how much is in everything. I'm sure Celeste, like you do too now, like just kind of looking at stuff like, but you're more of like, I've never done a full macro approach, like where it's like, let me fit certain things in like during prep, like
Yeah.
I don't know. I like a little, even whenever I was being intuitive, it was still like meal plan style stuff. It was still like chicken, rice, chicken, blah. Like I just always eat chicken. That's just my thing. I love chicken. I never get sick of it. I eat it like 5 times a day. I don't care. I don't care. Like, especially I'm doing this so long. Like I was like chicken, salad, pickles. Okay. Like whatever. Like I just, eat the same things all the time. So when I first started with my coach kind of going into the first show this year, he did give me a pretty structured meal plan, but it was more like, yeah, it was like a range. Like at this meal, you could have like, chicken or turkey, this many ounces to this many ounces, a vegetable. I mean, it was pretty much no carbs. In the morning time, it was, 2 cups of whatever berry. So at that point, it still was like I knew what my food was, but I didn't really like weigh it a lot of the time. I still don't
Mhm.
really like to do that, unless I'm like, getting down to like a month out or something, and it needs to be like freaking, lower, like super. Got to make sure. I did weigh my food more often than not this year, or more often than I did last year. But no, I didn't really like weigh everything super particularly. I would say I've tightened it up a little bit because being a pro and just kind of being, needed to be like on stage with Olympians, like I want to be, I just kind of took it upon myself to be a little bit more like not responsible, but more specific with my meals and the timing and everything like that too. Because I used to kind of just eat as I went throughout the day, not really like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it would be.
Right.
And then when I was switched over to Adam, he kind of told me, like, you know, I want you to keep eating whatever foods you've been eating or what foods you know you digest well, but here's the amounts I want you to have every day. So he kind of gave me like a meal plan foods, which is like the ones I was already eating plus a few carbs and everything, but just like make it be this. So that was kind of a mix of both. It kind of helped me be specific, but then also like, you know, the ability to kind of eat, you know, what I want when I want as far as the meal plan goes. I don't know.
For sure. No, it does make sense. It does. It was a good combination. It like met your needs at the time. And you know, you obviously had some good experiences throughout the season. You talked earlier about like friendships that developed. You talked about how great it was to continue to develop those relationships with judges as well. And you placed well, and you had a lot of positive experiences. And you know, we talked about the feedback you got and how that changed from when you were an amateur, how you had never heard that you were too big before. What do you feel like is the difference? And we pin this, so I want to go back to it. What do you feel like is the difference between the way amateurs are being rewarded versus then what's expected in the pro circuit?
Well, that is a question. I will say, just as like a disclaimer, obviously it's different for everyone, but this is a generality statement I'm about to make.
Okay.
I will say, I think a lot of us do make the mistake, or maybe it's not even a mistake. Like some people really do need to bring up their glutes or grow their lats a little wider to make their waist look smaller, things like that. But not everyone needs to do what I did last year, which is basically think I need to grow so much to be sorry, are you still there? You just kind of like,
I'm here.
Okay. No,
I was drinking, so I muted myself.
Just making sure. No, okay. I think all of this, like, girl, I did that a couple times and I've already had to sneeze. But anyway, I was just gonna say, I don't want everyone to think that they need to go balls to the wall like I did last off season. Like I was lifting way more than. Looking back, I'm like, how the hell did I do that? Like, I was just like in beast mode and just got a little too big. I mean, you don't need to grow so much. Just so everyone who's an amateur, like, just keep that in mind. Just like if they reward you as a pro, like to be a pro, most likely you can bring something very similar and you still do very well because like they liked you how you were. Now, of course, there's some things that'll need to change. Like I realized my routine that I've done for years was a little, more amateurish looking after doing my first show and kind of seeing the way that the pros did. It's a little bit more effortless, a little bit more fluid, a little bit more natural hand positionings and things like that, where it just kind of looks like you're basically walking up and standing there, trying to be sexy and just move around a little bit and just walk off instead of, put your hand out, my wrist a little stiff, elbow kind of bent, like do my arms kind of like I'm presenting myself like in two big circles, like, hi.
Yes.
Things like that. That's just a little bit more amateurish. So that is just something separate, the posing. But aside from the physique, I do think that nationals, and this is just a lot of people say this, I've heard this for years, and I always say it, I almost feel like at nationals, it's almost like who can be the most shredded and the most crazy looking, and that's who we think will be a good pro. Like, you know what I mean? Whoever can push themselves to the craziest limit, or not the craziest limit, but it's the craziest conditioning. That's what usually, a lot of the times that is what's rewarded, because and that's the mindset a lot of these coaches take. Well, we're just going to get you peeled, and that's what everyone starts to look like. So all the girls that show up are lean. Then you don't have anyone to compare it to. Like for example, like last year when I turned pro, I was definitely not the leanest one at all. Everyone in my class was like way leaner, smaller, all that stuff. But my shape was most balanced, and I guess my look was like the best or whatever for that particular show. So I got rewarded. Now, that's not always the case. It's usually a competition of like conditioning at nationals, because that's what a lot of coaches are pushing everyone to be like so lean. So I will say at bikini at the pro level, with the exception of some shows, it really does. And I've noticed this, it depends on the areas of the country. It kind of changes based on the judging panel a little bit, just because of who shows up. Not because the judging criteria is different or their preference is different, but just really like in Florida, I've noticed a lot of the girls, aside from the Tampa Pro, which is everyone comes from everywhere, it's a little bit leaner down in Florida. And then like in the West Coast, it can be really lean too. But if you go, it just kind of like depends, like the particular show. You just kind of know your shows. But I will say, like, I was always trying to grow my shoulders to be the biggest. The girls that win, I seem to win at nationals, are always one most developed, the leanest. And then if you take that same mindset like I did, going into my first show, it's not going to work out. It didn't really work out in my favor. There are some girls that I'm really good friends with too, that we were talking about, that are the exceptions to that. You know, they have to come in super conditioned because maybe their shape isn't like humongous, or, you know, they don't have like a huge hourglass shape unless they're really peeled down. So it just depends. But I will say it's kind of more of like the whole package as a pro. You don't have to be the leanest to win. It's pretty, you know, you can see that just based on some of the winners, like it really just about the presence and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Definitely made a lot of sense. It's like in the pro league also, I think because the people you're standing up against is like a stacked lineup as well, it's like they're gonna hone in on the details even more. Like you were mentioning, you were reaching out about your suit, your hair, the look, the posing. And then I think like even Ashlyn was just talking about that on her return episode as well, which is like she just like nailed the look is what she was going for. And I think
Yes.
on like an amateur level, like, yeah, you really don't know who's going to show up. It can vary. And that's not to say that the criteria changes, but the way they judge
Right.
for the criteria does. And do you feel like
Exactly.
in the pro league, they focus more on like the posing and the presentation
Mm-hmm.
because of that?
Yes, I do. And Ashley is a perfect example of someone who's always super conditioned, and she's a pretty muscular little nugget too. We talked about that. We're just like little bikini muscle girls, but she, you know, she has to stand out. And for her, she's beautiful. She's already got that bright blonde hair, and her posing is great. So to just add that extra condition for her is great. No, there's some people whose shape, you know, kind of looks better when they're not as like peeled down. So
Yes.
for, like you're saying, it does make a difference at the pro level. It is about presenting yourself as a professional, like 100%, like meeting the criteria, the hair, the makeup, the suit, color choices, everything. Like, you know, you can see some girls who might have like an ombre, like crazy, you know, diamonds, you know, whatever, or crystals at nationals, and they, you know, but that I just based on kind of like what you see, you know, something like that with like, you know, pink hair, like, you know, whatever you do, it's just that really wouldn't fly as well for the pro level because everyone is so like polished and kind of like there's a look that they want you to have. So it is way more about the details, I feel, at that point.
Yeah, it seems like there's a consistency. I mean, obviously I study the sport and I love the sport, and it's fun to watch people in all levels of the sport. And with the pro league, something I've noticed specifically is exactly what you pointed out with the posing. It appears much more effortless. I think there's not a lot of making up for through posing, right? Like the physique speaks for itself. A lot of like you look at someone like Angelica, Jen Dory, you look at someone like a Rihanna. They go up there, they pose.
The lips are MC.
I know. But like they just go up there and they look very natural. Even Issa, I would say Issa sometimes look like she's doing a little bit more like not flexing, but posing in that way.
And like kind of contorting and all the
Yes.
insane kind of like angling. Yeah, like with most of the pros, like you can kind of just go up and put your hip out, like you're gonna look nuts because they're, you know, they're developed, they've gotten to that point. And you know, I'm not sure if I'm quite there. I still feel pretty like, okay, this pose is, I'm putting work on it.
I feel
but
like
you know,
your posing improves so much. So this season,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. It's because of being around those peers.
That's what I was gonna ask. What changed?
Yeah. Well, just kind of what I was saying, like, you know, I noticed like my first show I went out, honestly, I will say, like, I do practice my posing, but as a person who just got the pro card, I, you know, do posing coaching, like I didn't really think I had to practice that much. Okay, not the case. I really was glad that, you know, I was able to see so many pro routines this year in person. They are way more just, you know, like, I don't want to say like not sensual, like sensual, like a little slower, a little bit more effortless, and not as posy. It doesn't have to look like you're trying. My posing coach is Steve Payne, and he's in Georgia, but he's always telling me, he's always like, you don't look like Lauren. And then now that he's like, you're trying to be like not Lauren, like be like yourself. So that's kind of what kind of inspired me, is working with him, just to kind of like, he's like, loosen up. We just need to be like, show your best, be simple, go nice and slow, and be confident. And I just try to have more fun with it and be a little bit more, you know, myself. So I really do think that is the biggest thing that's changed, is just like trying not to be like, and I didn't think I was doing that, but I guess without realizing it, I was just trying to like emulate kind of other people. I don't know. I've seen for a long time. So I think it just is really important to be natural.
I love that. That's really fantastic insight as well. And I know you've learned so much from this season, and there's things that you've learned about yourself and even about your body too. And now you're kind of in this phase of like, do I take this time off? What do I do with the time I'm taking off? You're obviously recovering, and you were expressing before we started recording that just from getting sick, you feel like you've lost a lot of muscle, which maybe isn't such a bad thing, but you also said there's that part of you that really wants to have that like action figure look. So how are
Yeah.
you managing the emotion that comes from potentially like grieving this look that you thought was like what you were gonna have?
Yeah. That is a perfect word. Like anyone who is a good friend of mine or, has known me to like, I love being like, I haven't always been super jacked. Like I used to just look like, whatever, just like a beginner. But since I have developed muscles, I love them. I loved, kind of flexing in my pictures and like, showing my shoulders and whatever. Now, honestly, like I was telling Celeste before we started, like, I'm not even sure if I really look like myself. Like I've gotten, I feel like I've lost weight. I've even got down below my show weight even a couple weeks ago. And that's because like my show was the last show I did was end of August. We're now in the first week of October. I took 2 weeks off because I kind of usually do. I was feeling really run down. Then I started getting sick. Well, then that was a few weeks of no training, literally almost dying, feeling like just so fatigued. And I've been working so much with this new, like kind of add on to my current like real life professional role that I have that's not related to sports or athletic stuff or fitness. So it's just been a lot of things. So the emotion with it is like grief. Like I look at my pictures from earlier in the year or before I started kind of losing getting sick and all that. Yeah, it is hard to see that like my upper body has shrunk so much. To me, most of my friends have told me like, girl, you have muscle memory, it'll come back, like whatever. But that's not really what they want. So it's kind of good for me, but it's also like, it's not who I identify as. So I'm in a kind of weird place right now. I'll just be honest.
Yeah.
I don't really know how I feel. I feel like my physique will be great for bikini if I just kind of get better and keep training my, glutes with intensity and everything like that. But is that really how I want to identify as someone that doesn't want to be, super strong and be like, like kind of, I don't want to look normal. I've never wanted to look normal. I really like it. Feeling like I'm above, the average look. So yeah, it's something I've struggled with. I'll be honest. I've been saying it forever because I always pretend to be a little figure girl, like in my pictures and stuff. I'm like, I think I might want to do that one day. But then I know I can achieve so much with bikini because it's just the criteria and the division that I love and I'm growing up in. So it's just, it's a weird spot to be. I don't really know. Obviously I think, I'll probably give bikini another, year or two or whatever, just based on it. But also, I don't know, like I could change my mind anytime. I might even said that last year. It just kind of depends on what my body does. And I think I basically have to decide which way to take it some way or another once I start feeling better and get, my strength all the way back because, I could be too big again, I don't know. So it's just, I don't know, Celeste. Good question.
Yeah.
Sure. It's difficult for me, honestly. I'm not gonna lie.
I've caught you in the reflection phase.
Yes, that's how I feel right now. I could go either way. But mainly right now, my main focus is to get healthy and get back to a consistent training schedule and eating enough. I will say, which I'm pretty sure since I never got tested because, if I get tested, oh, well, whatever. I'm staying at home working all the time anyway for COVID, but I couldn't taste or smell anything. So I think that's kind of, I didn't really want to eat. My appetite was low and it still kind of is. So I had a couple friends be like, yeah, you look kind of like thin, like, you don't look that great. So my main focus right now is take the next month or two to like fill everything back out, see how I'm, then evaluate and just get back to normal.
So
that's
a good
I don't
plan.
know.
You'll figure it out and it'll be perfect. And given that you are a student of the game, I have no doubt like you'll get the feedback, you'll get the support, the insight that you need in order to do the best thing for you. And in that process, you're probably going to learn even more. And I'm actually curious, like what breakthroughs you've had just about maybe yourself or about life since doing, this season as a pro and having to make these changes and go through this, or, mentally, like what's come up for you?
That is a good question. I really do think I have learned to not hold on so tightly, like with a death grip of like, to keep, being like, to keep pushing and being so stubborn. And I learned to kind of like let things go more and not try to control everything. And as far as like the outcomes of the shows. And I'll be honest, you know, I mean, I'll be honest, because this is just what it's about. And I'm always really honest. I was so happy with the look that I brought to my last show. It was like the best I feel like I've ever, you know, everything. And then I had a moment for about an hour. Yes, I got 11. That is still great. All right. There was like a ton of girls, like almost 40 or something, like, you know, but to me, I was pissed. I was pissed for a little bit that I didn't get, you know, I didn't go up. And in my mind, I'm going, I went down. I was mad. But why? You know, I've only been doing this a little bit at a time. So it took me, you know, it almost made me, that moment where I was feeling upset about how proud I was of what I looked like, that just basically forced me, and all this stuff has forced me to like reevaluate, do a reality check, like, hello, these are the best in the world. Everyone in the first calls was like amazing and are, you know, like vets pretty much. And, you know, you are brand new as a pro, and, you know, let go of the things you can't control, and putting that kind of back in my mind. I can't control the fact I've been sick. I can't control the fact I had no energy to train, or, you know, I couldn't train. I was sick. Like there's no way you can, you know, so I've just had to let go of a lot of things I couldn't control. I don't think everyone who pretends, yes, I was super proud, but anyone who pretends that they're not a little disappointed when they don't place how they want, you know, they're not telling the truth. Of course, I wanted it to go up. I wanted it to be like from ninth to like I got ninth. So like ninth was like my number, and then it was like 11. So I was like, but really the competition was harder. So why am I upset? And even so, oh, well, you know what? You can't control, the decision's done. Why am I mad? So I just kind of made me be more in tune with my self, my spirituality, knowing to accept things that are in God's timing, you know, kind of taking that approach to it. And the same thing with this right now. I know I'm going to heal when I'm supposed to. If my mind and my heart kind of push me to want to grow, and I just switched to a different division, not wellness. Don't anyone ask me that. That's just not really if I do anything, it's going to be figure, but it probably won't be for a long time, and who knows. But I think just being like in tune with myself, and kind of just being more accepting of like the things you can't control. I think it's important.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like that's very aligned with things that I learned this year too, not just from shows being canceled, but also outcomes of shows, and things that I learned from that. And I think it's totally, actually, I would say it would be an odd reaction if a athlete didn't feel upset by not getting a placing that they'd been working really hard for. I don't think that would be a normal emotional response to something they really wanted, you know, like that would almost be more concerning. But that's with that's like with the expectation though that they've gotten the internal validation. And so that was something that, you know, I've talked to some clients about this before when they've been getting anxious about what could happen at the show, am I going to be good enough, blah blah blah. It's like, why does it have to be that why can't you want to win, right? Why does it have to be I'm either only gonna promote, you know, being validated internally and being proud of myself, or wanting to win? No, how about we go for both? But let's make sure that we focus on getting that internal validation, knowing that everything's happening in perfect timing. Like I had a moment like after my first show this season where I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, are you kidding me?
And you're human. You are human for admitting that. Like, it's okay. Everyone doesn't need to put on this Instagram, I'm so grateful to be here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we all are grateful to be here. I am very blessed, and I know that. But damn it, like, you know, I wanted, like, you know, everyone has suffered, though. It's not just you. Imagine all the people below you that felt that even worse. Like, you know, so I mean, there's so much to be thankful for. So it's really putting it all in perspective and reminding myself how I normally am. I started to lose myself a little bit as far as the mentality. I was like, being honestly, and anyone who knows this, I do struggle with anxiety. That's been a huge thing I've been dealing with. The depression of being sick, the depression of not being able to train, and no muscle, and being so busy with work, and post-show blues that everyone gets. I don't care what anyone says. They all get this anticlimactic feeling afterwards. It's terrible. With no immediate goal to reach for, it's very hard for us as athletes to wrap our minds around that. And if you start to realize that that's when I knew, like, it was time for me to like recheck myself, because, you know, when you start being a way that you're not even, that like you don't even enjoy the thing you just did, when you actually look the best you've ever freaking looked, how are you pissed right now? It's just a lot of things that come into play. It's really, really tough mental sport. This mental is everything, or the mental state is everything. And Celeste, I don't know about you, but based on some of the like the things you talk about and like, you know, your preps and whatever, you know, some people have the longevity and the not the longevity, but the I guess the endurance, or I don't know what you want to call it, but to do like 12 shows, you know, in a year. Ashlyn is a perfect example of that. Her body like doesn't really fight her. She's able to like maintain that. For me, it's very difficult to like get there. So my body and my mindset gets real, you know, it takes a hit for sure.
Yeah, I think it has depended for me. Like there's been times where I push myself, like you said, where it was almost like, why did I keep doing that to my body when it was clearly giving me a sign to stop? But then at the same time, like I've had those, like this season, for example, like with the shows being pushed back, it did the same thing for me that it did for you, and that it gave me more time. It allowed my body to also put me into a place of sustainability and testing my sustainability and all the inner growth that I've had, you know, and that was really cool because I didn't experience things that I would have likely experienced had I not done the mindset, the personal development, the food relationship work that I have done. And yeah, I mean, this was like a blessing of a year, honestly. And I think that was like the key thing to reconnect to. And I love how you said trusting that things will happen in the timing that they're meant to. That was like a major lesson of mine.
So important. And like, I was reading, I don't remember, dang, I wish I could remember who it was, but there was, I think it was actually, maybe it was Juliana. I don't remember, but there was one of these, well, anyways, one of the friends I have on Instagram wrote a post the other day was like, I took the joy out of my first year as a pro because I was so focused on trying to go to the Olympia my first year. Why am I trying to rush something that took me years to achieve already? Like, you're not going to go to the top. Why did I get mad? You know what I mean? Why was I even upset at all? I really was just grateful to be there and able to finally do the Clash. Like, I really just wanted to do the Clash like for years. So, and then to do it as a pro, I was so excited. And it kind of, I felt some of that. It kind of took it away, my joy of something that I usually love so much. So it's really important to keep all that in check. And then what you said about the food, and your body, this extended prep, I think this probably might be the same for you. For me, it definitely helped with my eating habits because I was forced to kind of like be mindful all year. So now I'm still taking that approach, and it's not like unhealthy. It's just like, you know how much you need. And then also I feel like my body composition, as far as like my fat, like distribution and everything, has changed some because it was just been in a leaner state for longer. So my body's changed. There's positives to that too.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's all a learning experience. And I really like that you just brought up like keeping the joy, because I was like, I've done all these shows and I'm an amateur and da da da. And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, like exactly what you said about the girl who was reflecting on like being so obsessed with becoming a pro. I mean, becoming an Olympia qualified pro. It's amazing how much our identity as competitors gets rooted in expectations of others or within the industry, right? Like pros who are getting a lot of attention and focus are the ones who are on their road to the O or who are trying to qualify. And it's like that puts even more pressure, I believe, on those pros. And
people were telling me that all year, keep going. And I got some great feedback even after the Clash from like the head judges, like, you know who they are, the top ones, being like, you should keep going. This may not be the year for you. Not sure. There's a lot of shows and we still have people that are, you know, front runners. Like they were honest with me, but you should keep going. You should keep get the points. And I'm like, I can't, you know, I can't. And I realized after I got sick, you know.
And it's also like, why don't you just like improve? You know your time will come, and if they're giving you this amazing feedback, there's nothing that says you can't do this again in a year. Like that's what I think. There's like this scarcity mindset around, if I don't get my pro card right now, or if I don't go to the national show right now, or if I don't get you know, it's a scarcity mindset.
That's a perfect way to put it. There's a lot of fear behind it. Is fear driven as opposed to like I don't know, like fulfillment, I guess. Like there's some girls that are, you know, on our team or whatever that are amateurs that are really, you know, they also like get upset if they you know, get fifth a bunch of the times, or they're close. I'm so pro card hungry, that hashtag. Okay, great. But like this, I don't know, and I was a victim of this too for my own self, like of saying, well, I have a lot of momentum right now. If I don't keep going, they're gonna, you know, I have this momentum. Like, like no, it's better to leave when your mindset is okay and you know that it's time to take a break, instead of like continuing and doing damage to your body, or doing, or coming in looking worse just because you wanted to try hard. There's just a lot of things around that. So being really in the moment and grateful and all that stuff is something I was starting to forget a little bit. And I think that's what happens with a lot of amateurs too when they're, and I did 6 national shows before I even got first call. So I mean,
Yeah.
I understand, but it's there the scarcity and the fear of like not going because everyone else is going, because Instagram says, because so and so,
Yes.
like you know what, Instagram, I'm sorry, is so much of my life is rooted in it. I have a lot of great partnerships and joy and friends, like literal actual friends I FaceTime with that I've met from Instagram. But like, it's not your reality. What reality is when you're laying in bed at night and when you wake up in the morning, and how you feel and what you go about your day and how you feel about yourself then. So like if you're all anxious and worried, that's not going to do you any good.
Exactly.
You're not going to even appreciate the win. You're not going to appreciate your successes. So girls that are going to get their pro card, just be patient and just relax about it, because your body will thank you for it. You'll look better. I literally think I said last year, I was kind of like, well, we'll see. I mean, I've tried a bunch of times. We'll see what happens. And it just sort of like happened when it was supposed
yes.
to. So,
And do you want to look back on like your competing and your career as a competitor, even though we can maintain longevity, right? Assuming we do it the right way, but who wants to look back and be like, yeah, I'm really glad I did that show so that I could get more, clout from my Instagram, or I'm really glad, that's not the case. Like, don't you want to
more content?
Yes, exactly. It's like, that's great. Like, it's good to have like a base of supporters. Like, I'm so grateful for all the people who like wish me luck and all that, but I also know that like my worth isn't determined by me competing or not competing. And I think that sometimes we get wrapped up in the accomplishments that we think will bring us something we haven't already established for ourselves, versus establishing what we're actually looking for and knowing that it can come with or without competing. Like, what's going to happen after you're done competing or after the show. I haven't had the post-show blues in years, not just because I haven't competed in years, but it's like because I've done what's necessary, I think, honestly, to move through it. Now, has there been questions and things like, oh, what about this? Yes, but like it doesn't last, and it doesn't lead to self-sabotaging behaviors. And I think that's because it's not like everything's rooted in the show, and that's where people make a mistake, is it becomes so rooted.
Right. It needs to become like, and you also are a great person who has like taken things they've learned from competing and apply it to, you have other great big old things going on in your life aside from like the next show. You know what I mean? So like for me, like I feel like I might have just been depressed this year just because my body was like tired and I was sick.
Yes.
So maybe that's, but
being sick for sure.
And not being able to train, but like the mindset of like worrying about the next show, I was actually starting to feel like that a little bit, but then I was like, why? Like, what the hell? Shut up. It's going to be there. Like I have so much other stuff going on. Yeah. So I'm really glad that, honestly, it does suck and I do not wish it upon anyone, but I am somewhat grateful in a way that I did get sick when I was thinking I was going to do the Chicago Pro in Atlanta, because I just moved from there last year after living there 10 years. And now I'm going to be there working the muscle leg booth, muscle leg code,
Woo!
Adam's Fit. But, so I'm going to be there, but I think that God, or, whatever the reason I got sick, it was like a very big slap in the face to slow down. And one of my best friends, who's also a pro judge, Mo Newman, she was like messaging me the other day. She's like, I'm sorry, but I'm glad this happened so you could sit ass back and take care of yourself. So you can be a great competitor. Like we know you are. Like, don't be one of those people. Don't be one of those people.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, I love you. Thank you. Like, so it's just important.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Everything comes in waves, and you have to, what makes a good athlete or a good person is to have other stuff going on in your life that can fulfill you, have other things to look forward to, and realize that it is not all about competing. And, people will still like you.
Yes,
regardless.
they will.
Throw up a backstage picture every now and then if you want to remind people that you used to compete or something, if that's how you feel. But people will support you no matter what you do,
Yeah, and like people who really love and support you don't really care about everything on the surface, and there's so much deeper to all this than, you know, the competition itself and the competing. It's the journey, it's who we become, it's all those cliche things we hear all the time. But if we get so wrapped up in the sport, like even me and you both had moments of like, oh my god, like that's not who I am, I don't know how that got there. Like those are the moments that can lead people to focus on the wrong things. Like focus on, like, okay, if you end up finding yourself in self-criticism and then you judge yourself for being critical of yourself, well, you have to remember this is a sport where you're being judged constantly. So naturally you're going to sink into a state of judgment, self-judgment. That's okay.
Yes.
That's healthy for the sport. You have to be aware of what needs to improve. But there comes a point where that self-criticism and self-judgment will begin to work against the very reason you would need to use it in the first place. You might become obsessive about the scale. You might become obsessive about food. You might become obsessive so much about your body that then there's other mental struggles that develop from that then prevent you from the longevity that would have gotten you to the goal.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, let's not get too wrapped up.
Well, yes, no, 100%. And I don't remember if I talked about this on the last one we did, but I will say most people don't even know this about me, but I'll share it just because I feel like it's important, you know, for people to just realize that no one knows what's going on behind Instagram or behind, like everyone has a family and stuff that they're dealing with that's super serious. So I think it's important to realize that. But I have a twin sister. Not everyone knows that. We are fraternal, meaning we're not identical, because not everyone knows what that means, but we're fraternal. She has been, and this is, you know, it's sad, but she's been in and out of rehab for pretty much our whole lives since we've been about 15 for an eating disorder. And when I say eating disorder, I don't, you know, it's really full blown. Now it's become into a lot of other things, addiction and other things. You know, we've taken her into, you know, we've had interventions, all these kinds of things for years and years and years. Anyways, it's something that I have to be mindful of because we are the same gene pool, that if I start to feel any of those tendencies, I literally immediately shut it off. I think I did say that before, because that's one of the reasons why I
so
intuitively, yes, because like you have to be aware. So there's cues, and I know you talk about it in all of your educational stuff that you do. When you start feeling like super negative about food, or feel like people do this, feel like you want to make yourself throw up, feel like you need to do extra cardio to make up for, like, those are things that are very, very toxic and dangerous. So really addressing them and nipping them in the bud, like I've had to do over and over and over again, because I did struggle with some of that when I first was a competitor. I did. I'll tell anyone that. It's you know, it is something that it will help you with the longevity and help you, you know, to maintain, you know, a sanity, and also just be a good athlete going forward. So just something important to think about. And I know you talk about it all the time on your like in your stuff, but
I love that you just shared that. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that.
Yeah,
It's,
I am an open
real.
book. It's one of the things I try to pride myself on, is not just being someone like, I post a lot of like meaningless, like not very deep stuff on my Instagram, but I always encourage people, like, literally message me and ask me stuff. I will text you. I don't care. Like, I need people to understand, like, we are all humans. No one is perfect, and everyone has demons that they're dealing with. And whether you want to admit it or not, as a competitor that measures food and looks at your body constantly, you will develop some types of things you have to address and be aware of. And I know you have a lot of good resources to assist everyone with all of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just appreciate you even shining light on it, because it's not like we need to be so judgmental of ourselves. Like, let's prepare for that possibility. Or if we start noticing those tendencies, be proactive. And, you know, you always are so real. And I want to encourage anyone, like, Lauren is one of the most genuine people, and she's very deep, you know, she's very deep. So like, you can reach out, you can talk to her about anything.
I'm also like, love Harry Potter and post about that all the time, and crazy like Star Wars socks, and like I am myself. But when it comes to talking about all these things, like I sound so serious this whole conversation, but like I take it all, I just take it all very seriously. The good, the bad, and everything in between, because it is so important to me and to anyone else so that's doing it, you know. So I'm sorry if I seemed like really deep and like too
no, it's good. Really is important. Amazing. No, you're always so amazing. And I wanted to ask you about one more. Thank you. This is why we get along so well. Two amazing souls coming together.
Yes. It makes a perfect.
We do. No, I was gonna say that there's like, I wanted to ask you one other thing about, but it's like totally off topic, so just wanted to give you a heads up.
Sure. Go for it.
You talked about friendship, and I think there's a lot of people who like want to see behind the curtain you know?
Yeah.
So did you notice a difference in how girls are backstage or how friendships
Oh,
develop?
yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I remember we were texting about that the other day. I just
Yes.
think it's really important to kind of highlight, and I felt, and I feel like you will once you're on your path to get there one day. I know you will.
Thank you.
Once you kind of see the difference between like at nationals, which I will not say I did not make some really best friends at nationals, because I did. But overall at NPC qualifier, national qualifiers, regular, local shows, regional qualifiers, whatever, versus IFBB, it's almost like night and day. I really do feel that way because,
Mm.
not all of us can have the approach of like, I'm really outgoing, and anyone who's ever talked to me backstage in the lineup knows that I'm not even acting like I'm just like talking like this. Like I'm just doing like little glute pump. Sometimes I'll get in my zone where I'm just kind of like staring off, just kind of get calm because I'm a really high strung person. But not everyone is that way. So not everyone has the capability, and it's not a really negative thing if you are. But I do feel the NPC shows like there's a little bit of cattiness. There's a little bit of like kind of that you can see those people that feel like they're the shit. They're the ones that are like they're not going to talk to anybody. Like there's just
Mhm.
it's just more competitive. It's just everyone is so freaking obsessed with doing well that it's just like. And it feels like that scarcity mindset of like only a few people can get it. I want to be one of those. I'm not going to make friends. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to. Okay, it is not about that. Yes, I know, but really, it is so much more. It's so much happier and better if you do kind of look at it that way. Because I've made so many friends. Like most of my friends that I talk to on a weekly, daily basis are competitors that I met at a show or through the industry. Because I'm open to talking to people, and it makes it easier. It makes it a better experience. And the IFBB girls, like we all are like, hey, oh, hey, you're so and so. I haven't met you before, but oh my God, girl, so nice to meet you. Like everyone is really encouraging and friendly to each other. And I mean, I'm sure there are some exceptions out there, but aside from that, no, like we have a huge
Aw.
mutual respect for each other. That's how I felt anyway. Just that like everyone acknowledges, hey, we're all like made it here, and some of us are obviously farther along and better, quote unquote, than others as far as the placing. But it's just a mutual respect, and I still feel like it's more of that. I would love to see more of that at the NPC, which I feel like it has become more of that over the years. But it just makes it a better experience on stage and the lineup, everything. When you're trying to be just respect everyone, we're all going through the same process in their own way, you know.
Yeah.
And now I've definitely made some like super close friends just from this show, this doing my IVB shows this year. Um, and it's great. It's just more fun that way. I don't know. And
That's
you don't feel
awesome.
upset or when you don't win, or you don't. I mean, a little bit obviously like I was talking about, but
Yeah.
you understand because good for you, girl. Go on now. I'll get my own, I'll get mine
Exactly.
next time. That's how I feel anyway. So hopefully everyone else feels that way about me too.
I
Though they're
think
probably thinking I'm annoying.
so. No way. Just like based on like what, gets posted and that I see, it seems like a lot of people like it does align with what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
there's that mutual respect and excitement for other people's success.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it has to do with, like, for example, Jennifer Dory. I was talking about that earlier. Yeah, I've admired her forever. Yes, she's like almost 10 years younger than me, but still, I've admired her forever. I've been looking up to her, and now that I get to be here on the same stage as you, I love you. Hello, I love you. Like
Yes.
now we're like on the same place, kind of, as far as like the stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like it's all love. That's how I feel. It's
Uh,
all love, and the only big struggles come with like yourself and being hard on yourself. I don't feel like anyone's you know, ugly to you or anything like that. So I feel like everyone should be sweet to their friends in the lineup because we're all nervous. We're all ready to go do the thing. Be nice.
yes. Some of the best experiences I've had have come from conversations with girls backstage or just, like seeing people or
Yeah.
later connecting with them like, oh, I did that show, you did that show. Like it's just awesome. And it's nice to hear like your insight too between them. And this whole conversation has been really cool. Like I love how much we just flowed on different topics and how we have a lot of similar outlooks, and always hearing your perspective is amazing. And is there anything that you wish you had known, okay, that you wish you had known before going into your first pro show or even pro season that you can share with newer pros or future pros listening?
I I think that I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously there's a lot that I learned, but as far as like anything I would go back and redo, no. But things that I wish I knew, um, something I've always been really like good about has been being really like prepared for you know, anything and everything that could happen, bringing my huge suitcase to the show with like batteries and band-aids and, you know, anything I could think of. I have a bag that's literally in my room just for that stuff now, and it's changed over time. I think I just my first show I experienced running late and a bunch of other stuff like that, so I wish I, you know, could have applied the professional outlook of just making sure I'm extra prepared for every single thing that could happen. I didn't do a great job of that in my first show, and the rest of the ones I did. No, that's not really very deep or anything, but I do also wish that I would have known to, like, I don't know, I wish I would have felt a little bit more comfortable, which I do, but I'm even more so comfortable asking my peers their opinion about, or for help, or for asking, because anyone who you've, like, you know, that's doing the same thing you're doing or have more experience, they are most likely going to be honored and happy that you're asking, and be more than willing to give you insight and help. I was kind of like, I know everything, you know, I got it. No, I didn't. It's a completely different ball game. I've probably done 20 shows now, but still I learn more all the time about how to be more prepared and what I can do better. And I think asking people, being open to asking your peers that, you know, may have experienced more success than you at this point, it's okay. No one is going to look down on you for that. No one's going to look down on you for anything. And I don't know, I think I did it. My first show was all of that, and I improved on it going forward. But even more so now, I'm going to lean on my friends that I've made in the, you know, in the league and everything, and just ask them, you know, for help, or ask them what their opinion is on certain things, because they know. I don't know if that's
I love
makes sense,
that.
but
No, that's
yeah.
great. That's great insight. And I really appreciate that. And I think it's cool that you were able to let your guard down, ask for the help you needed, and then implement to make improvements, and also how willing you are to do that for us too. And
Yeah.
um, and
And like, for
uh-huh,
example, I just wanted to add, like, Brittany
yeah,
Hamilton, she's a perfect example. And I've said her like name like 3 times because I love her, and we've probably like
bestie.
my closest. Yes, she's like my closest like pro friend that I've made. We you know, we competed in you know, nationals around the same time and stuff too. But for example, we did this a few of the same shows, but she was still helping me with my posing and my hair and everything. And I, you know, a couple of those shows I did place, you know, a little bit better than her, but she didn't care, because it's all about, like, you know, helping your, you know, your colleagues or your peers. Like, you want everyone to bring their best, because you're going to try to bring your best. It's just a really big mutual
Exactly.
respect, understanding that I got, because I'm sure when I was competing in nationals, I would not have ever let one of my competitor, or, you know, someone I'm competing against, help me with my posing. Yeah, right. You know, but like, that's not that way. I don't know. I think everyone needs to just kind of take a more of a little bit of a loving approach to things like that.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that you have someone who you can do that with, and you've been able to do that with. So, do you mind sharing how people could connect with you again? And I'll, of course, make sure to link your old episode in this one as well. But do you mind just giving them maybe your
Yeah.
Instagram?
Yeah. So anyone can find me on Instagram. It's at Lauren, LAUREN _, Elizabeth _fit. And then on my Instagram, there's I just recently implemented Linktree, because I have
Ooh.
a bunch of different little, you know, partnerships that I have, and it was my profile was getting a little busy. So the Linktree link is in there for any of the discount codes and links and everything like that. My main sponsors are Muscle Egg, and there's a link and a discount code for that. Silverback Crew, which is my clothing sponsor, and Ravage Sands as a bikini sponsor that I worked with for years and years, and I freaking love them. Same thing with anyone else that's on there. My hair extension people, my Premier Alternative Medicine is one of my most recent partnerships for hormone therapy and blood work. And then Circadian Lifestyle is my supplement sponsor right now. I've got some other things in the works that's going to be coming out soon, but
Ooh.
and my link, I've actually kind of taken a step back from the posing coaching just the last couple of months, because I've been so sick and everything, but I'm going to start ramping that up and probably do a big kickoff, maybe like a Zoom group posing, probably in like after Thanksgiving. So everyone be on the lookout for that. My link to book for a posing coaching will be on there too. Bikini and wellness are on there. And I just had a girl win an overall in the wellness down here in Charlotte. So can help
Woo.
with that. So, I mean, but right now, kind of taking a step back from that, but just DM me on there.
That is
But
amazing.
I had to do a shameless plug for all my like main people, because, you
No, I love it. I'm all for it. I think we got to support the
know.
people who support us and show
Yes.
love.
Oh,
And
and Protan and Elite Performance Tanning. Love y'all too. So,
she's
oh
got
my gosh.
mad love.
Yes, and all the glitters gems. Oh my gosh, forgot about them. There's so many people that are making my little network. They are the best bling ever, and they are seriously like women empowerment, like team times 100. Like always lift everybody up. So all the glitters is on there too. My code's on there. Everything's on there. My link tree on at Lauren Elizabeth Fit.
Awesome. So you guys know where to go to support her, reach out to her, and connect with her. And I'll make sure to put that in this show notes page. That's always on celestial.fit/podcast. Lauren's going to have, she always has her own category, but now she's going to have 2 episodes there. And then on this episode, I'll make sure to link the old one as well, so you guys can get all that information. I'll put the link tree as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. And Lauren, thank you for coming back on.
Thank you for letting me ramble and like just talk about stuff that I haven't talked about.
It.
Pretty much, this is pretty much the first time I've had a chance to just go off like this since we talked last and just kind of explain everything. So I seriously appreciate this platform, and I love everyone you have on. And this is literally, you're such a positive person. We all appreciate everything you do for us. Seriously, I mean, you hype us all up, like major hype women. And I know you're having some really exciting people coming up soon that I cannot wait. One of them is I turned pro with, so I cannot wait to see what you do with her. I'll wait for it to come out. But I'm so pumped, and I just want to thank you for having me and for lifting me up and always being there as a good friend.
Oh, of course. That means so much to me. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you, boo.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I know this has been a long time, so we will. We could probably keep going like 2 more hours.
We always could.
So we'll just wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. I'll let everyone know, you guys, thank you guys for listening again, tuning in, subscribing, rating, reviewing. It goes a long way when you share it with your teammates as well. This is why I'm able to talk to these amazing women and empower them so much and get the word out, and also get you guys really cool opportunities through the podcast. So thank you again, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning.